What's going on, y'all? It's J Smo Reviews here, back at it again with another video, man, bringing you guys an app event recap for URL's most recent Nexus card. I believe this is the 5th Nexus card that they've put together, and it's a card that, even when I talked about it, I think I did a prediction video for it, or at least just like talked about the card coming out, was not impressed with the card really at all on paper. And then the main storyline that came out of the battles happening was the main event of Twerk versus Serious Jones not going down, Twerk not being able to show up. And I feel like that topic has kind of had its time, but my quick opinion on it is it's just another entry into what's been a rough end to 2025 for New Jersey Twerk. I thought he started the year pretty good. First half of the year, you can debate he won most of those battles. Good names in there like Real Deal and Rex. A little bit of inconsistency in terms of like cleanliness, some more stumbles this year and stuff. But he had the bigger battles for his year on the second half of the year with Lux, with Easy. So it looked to be like set up, but no shows, man. Like, there's just battles not going down. And that feels like, on top of the Lux loss, that's really the optics and noise around Twerk's year. And I know he's got some real life stuff going on, outside of the ring. And I'm sure that's the main contributor to everything. But between the A-Ward battle with TBL, doesn't happen. We don't really get word on it. And then they go and book, TBL goes and books Twerk and Easy, so I guess they were kind of done with the matchup. Then that doesn't go down. The serious battle, I know I'm forgetting one or two more in there just for this year. So, this is kind of the story of Twerk. You'll have a year, 2 years where things are going great. He's locked in. And then you'll have a year and a half, 2 years where, this is kind of happening. So hope he's able to bounce back quick, but no Twerk and Serious to talk about. So there's 4 battles that were on the card, and then they added a 1-rounder with Ace Amin versus Tex, which might actually be the funniest thing to talk about all this, because that was an absolute disaster. But with all that being said, let's just talk about the battles. So first battle I want to talk about is Cuban versus Mazi, and something I want to give all these battles credit for, none of them are a half an hour. So they're all under a half an hour, most of them around like 20 minutes, so extremely watchable. But Cuban versus Mazi, just a solid battle, like nothing too crazy, and I don't think either of them gave a bad or necessarily a great performance, but I do think that Cuban won this battle first and third, and even though I edge Mazi the second, I think you could very much so give Cuban that round as well. Like, I think it's debatable, and there's times that the content is close, particularly in that second and third. I don't think the first is very close at all in any facet, to be honest with you, but Mazi has his moments. Even though I do think this bar was in the first round, the slow down, the dodge, like the Matrix, like I think that's fire, and he has other flashes like that later in the battle. He has moments where he's a solid puncher, but the separation in this battle, I think, is a veteran, like all-around skill set, where Cuban's been bringing this up a little bit more recently. I know he's had a couple more wins under his belt, and he's been talking his shit, and I think he might have even said verbatim, like, a lot of these newer battlers, like, don't rap or aren't rappers, and that's the difference. Like, it's one thing to come up with like good bar concepts and content, and like in the second and the third, you could say the content's pretty close, but then Cuban is rapping it better. And to me, that's the clear differentiation between the two of them in this battle, is the flow pockets Cuban's getting in, how much more comfortable and better pace he has in his delivery. So like I said, I got Cuban first and third. You could debate all 3 for the gentlemen's, but I think Mazi was okay. And shout out Cuban, because I know on the timeline the other day we had a little disagreement or something, him saying that I'm not a fan of his style. Well, I'm a fan today, brother. How about that? So I got him winning the battle. Good showing for him. Next battle I want to talk about, which I think this one is even a bit of a clearer 3-0, to be honest with you, is Homesy to God versus Tru Fo. And this is one going in, I had Homesy winning. He's just a more consistent talent, and he's just a better talent, even though I think Tru Fo is solid, no pun intended. And this was a 3-0, and Tru Fo is not clean in this battle, so that's what makes it like clear before there's anything else to be said. He actually has pretty good material all 3 rounds. I think the third is the closest round, and I really like Tru Fo's third, not just because it's his cleanest, but gets into his real talk bag, obviously, like when he's pulling bars, kind of like, with his music, which like people like, when he's pulling substance, like from his life, his story, and stuff like that. I think that's when he's at his best, kind of like a storytelling bag. You don't see as much in battle rap, but even Homesy showed that. I think it was in the second round. The whole, you see your homie with the detectives in a Mitsubishi Mirage, and you got to convince yourself you ain't see what you saw. I thought that was executed beautifully. In all 3 rounds, he's just cleaner, he's better, and this is kind of what Homesy does. I know he goes under the radar, and he's had his losses versus top talent that at times justify kind of like his mid-tier placement amongst the game, right? But amongst those other mid-tiers, like, Homesy is one of the best in the game. He's extremely dangerous, and I feel like more times than not, if you watch a Homesy battle, whether it has impact or doesn't, he's winning pretty clear. Like, this is a guy who wins most of his battles and wins it clear at that. So, excuse me, following this W versus Tru Fo here, which to me, even though I said the third is the closest, I still have this as a clear 3-0 for Homesy. No body bag, though. I think he called out Los Preem I saw earlier, Tay Rock, Ill Will. I know there was like 2 more names on that call-out list. He said he wants 2026 to be like his last year, and those are some of the names that he wants to battle. Maybe Wusa was in there too. So I'm not mad at some of those matchups. Obviously with Rock and Ill Will, like, that's shooting pretty high, but Will seems to be battling like a variety of tiers recently. And like I said, like, Homesy wins battles. So I want to see guys that win and compete with some of the better battlers. Like, that's how you should earn it, in my opinion. We'll see. Rock, obviously battles a bunch of people too, so maybe he'll get those battles, but I like the Los Preem matchup. I think Homesy and Los Preem, with all the hype Los Preem has right now, to face like a vet angler that has this all-around skill set and does very good versus new talent too. Homesy versus Los Preem is a battle I'm extremely interested in, and hopefully even in the soon future. So good W for Homesy. And Tru Fo, kind of story of his career, man. Not the most consistent, has his bright spots, but it's either he's not clean or the guy in front of him is just better. He's been winning actually more of his battles last year and a half or so, but you get back to URL for the first time in a minute, you kind of get sat right back down. So we'll see what he does next. Now we can talk a little about Ace Amin versus Tex. Now, first of all, how does this battle even get on a URL stage, right? For those that don't know, it was first booked earlier in the year on the Just Business card in Ohio. Shout out Doc, he put that card together, and now he's clearly involved with the developmental part of the developmental process with URL. He even hosted this battle, so I'm sure that's kind of the pathway of how it gets here. But Ace has no-showed, it's like 10 of his last 11 battles, it feels like a ton of battles Ace hasn't showed up for. So to see him even pop out for a battle, especially kind of like a surprise one, is unexpected. And then Tex leaves the trenches, right? That's his big thing as of recent, is that was the big story around him. It was an ugly breakup, and now he pops up on URL, and you'd figure he'd go through, even if he got to URL at some point. Someone told you Tex going to go to URL. You would think it's through like the Crucible phases or Smack Track. No, it's this one-rounder on Nexus. And I believe this was supposed to be a 3-round battle, but Tex didn't have the material for a 3-round battle. And to be honest with you, he didn't have the material for this 1-round battle. So I'm happy they didn't even try to attempt that. But this is bad. I mean, this is an awful look for Tex. And it's just it's just an odd situation all the way around. And even like when Tex chose to go first, he's like, hey, yo, like, he's going to rap first. He had bad report card energy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you get a report card when you're younger, and it's rough. It's D's, it's F's. You're trying to get home, you're trying to get past mom and dad. What happened? We heard there was report cards. Oh, yeah, I just got a couple C's, whatever. Let me use the bathroom real quick. Trying to skate by. Like, no. Let me see. That's what it was. The crowd said, we have to see the report card. That's what Texas raps were. And it was an F. It was an F-. I don't even think that's a thing. But about a bar or 2 in, and his energy, like he's whispering almost through his first few bars. It's like so different than the energy you've seen in Tex battles. You kind of just knew he was going to choke. And a couple bars in, what do you know? He does. And the thing that takes it to a comedic level, it's already bad. You showed up. You've gotten this URL debut out of nowhere, coming off of a breakup for the trenches where you lost your first couple battles after. You know what I'm saying? Like it's been looking a little iffy. And then not only are you choking, but he's like repeating. He's glitched. And if you haven't seen the clip, he says something like, Jailblade cut his liver. Jailblade cut his liver. Shank blade. Now it's a shank blade. Shank blade cut his liver. Shank blade cut his abs. And he's trying to like repeat to catch the rhythm of his material, but I mean, he just says shank blade over and over. I think someone counted it. It was like 15 times or something like that. It just looked like a goddamn cartoon. Like, it looked like complete amateur hour. And then from there, Tex lost his composure. Like, he's saying a ton of times, like, this is my first time choking, y'all. This is my first time choking. And to the point, I think it was Doc, which was kind of cold, was like, all right, man. Like, we heard you. Like, we know it's your first time choking. He wasn't handling it well at all. You know, and then Ace raps, and then, of course, even though we've barely been seeing Ace rap, few times he has came out, it feels like he's not all the way clean. He's 100% clean and has a very good round for this battle. And it's almost mean-spirited, the way that he whoops on Tex for, I think, the majority of this 7 to 8 minute round that he has. He just smokes them. I think the best bar he had is, it was so crazy. People was out here getting hogtied by Muslims. Like, the whole pocket leading up to that was stupid. Not that, like, this one-round performance from Ace, I have a lot of questions on where Ace has been. I'm not at all thinking he's just going to be consistent after this, because this is just such a random situation. Shout out to him, though. He popped outside, and he had a very good round here that was very entertaining, and he caught a mean body. So the story after this is more of just, what the hell is going on with Tex? And I even see some people, after the battle happened, we hadn't seen the footage yet, people are like, is this the end of Tex? And stuff like that, since leaving the trenches. I didn't understand how extreme it was till I saw it, and I'm inclined to kind of be like, yeah. I'm not saying he's done for, he can't, climb out of the hole, but I said it on I think the one time I talked about him leaving the trenches, I thought it was a bad idea. I think it's a bad idea for Muap too. I think those two guys had something set up where, Easy, a million bridges burn with Easy. So I'm not saying that Easy was exactly treating them the fairest, right? But they had a good situation. It was a bit symbiotic, right? Whenever trenches cards happen, or even Chrome cards, Tex and Muap will be on a list of names you almost expect, or you're thinking of. Are they going to get an elevated matchup? Are they going to get another mid-tier? Like, some of the plates they were getting, they already pushed past kind of class versus class action and stuff like that. So they were getting there, even though the battle was posted wrong or whatever with Snake Eyes and Tex. Like, that was a very good look and a very good battle for Tex. Now, took his career into his own hands. There's the Ishmula loss. He lost in a one-round at a real deal. It wasn't, like, dramatic or nothing. He just didn't win. And then this battle is, like, the worst thing he's ever done, and he's having a meltdown. And then as the footage is closing, after Ace has smoked him, because Ace rapped second, he's like, I apologize to y'all. Like, he's trying to be nice about it. Like, I'm not even, like, mad, but even his verbiage, at one point in Ace's round, Tex is like, you took advantage of me. That is not what you want to say on camera. You don't want to say as you're losing that the other man took advantage of you. It's not a good look. So, bad. I'm not sure what Tex's next step is after this. I highly doubt he gets another URL look, because what is this? Like, what is this? This is amateur hour looking. So, it's tough where the careers went, following that trenches breakup. We'll see what Muap does too. That's two guys I don't think should have left the trenches. I felt that way when they did. Jury's still out on Muap, but it's looking rough for Tex right now. And shout out to Ace, for the one-round W. And then the last two battles, Danny Myers versus Jackboy Maine. I actually thought this was a good battle. It's not the best battle on the card. Believe it or not, I'll tell you right now, KD versus Authentic was battle of the night. I wouldn't have expected that. But Danny and Jack was still good. But like most battles that I watched here, the difference in cleanness determined the battle. Like, material-wise, Jackboy's first two rounds are good, especially his second, which is fire. The whole God air dry bar with Danny was crazy. The perpendicular bar I thought was dope too. But Danny's right there with him in those first two rounds material-wise, and Jack's stumbling. And in the second, even though he's fire, he chokes at the end of his round. So Danny clearly won the first two, even with both of them being on point, because Danny was fire and clean. And then you get to the third, Jackboy's clean, he's still pretty good, but Danny's third is not just the best round of the battle, might be the best round of all these battles. He had another, like, creative concept round, similar to, like, the Who Am I round versus Drugs. His whole breaking down the concept of Jack being the devil, the way he went about it, it was just, Danny's a risk taker. A lot of pens are like that. And sometimes Danny takes risk and we laugh at him. It's cringy. And sometimes he does this and it shows why he's Danny Myers. So me personally, I had Danny 3-0 in this battle. Another nobody type of battle, because I think Jackboy had good material. He just stepped in front of a good Danny and he wasn't clean in those first 2 rounds. That's just kind of how I called it, but I enjoyed it. And then, like I said, KD versus Authentic is the shocker here, because I think Authentic is maybe the best performer of anyone that battled here, and I remember when his class first came out, he was probably the most disrespected. People even ranked Ease above him. Ease is nowhere to be found now. Hell, I was one of those people. I was not impressed with some of Authentic's early footage. I know the Jack Boy battle was really good. This might be his best performance since then. And this is another battle that, because Authentic was clean and KD wasn't, that's also going to be the determiner, because KD in the second round is really, really good, and he stumbles around in the second, and Authentic has a very good second, so I have to kind of edge Authentic that round. But another thing that he had, even if KD had wrapped clean, he had good material, but similar maybe to even Cuban and Mazi, Authentic just wrapped it better. Like, they were up there material-wise, but even the pocket Authentic had top of his second. Like, spin back, like Willy Wonka, if they think the business suite. Like, the whole way he set that up, it's just more captivating. Like, yes, you can punch with him, but the way this guy, he's out-rapping you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's as simple as I can put it. So, impressed with Authentic there, and it looks like he has gotten better this year. The Gorilla battle also earlier in the year. Granted, he's a newer talent, but I really like that footage. I think that was a day 1 for one of T-Top's cards. And then here, I have Authentic Gentleman's 30 over KD, and so I don't think KD flat out choked like, Jack Boy did in the second, like Tex did the entirety of his appearance, right? So if you want to argue it, he was fire enough where there could be some room for it. I just can't take away from the fact that Authentic was just as fire and clean. But that could be the one debatable round there. And KD's been getting a lot of good press this year, getting some matchups on URL as well. And for Authentic to take him out when a lot of people consider KD underrated, I think that's a really good W for Authentic. So we'll see where he goes next. I'm not mad to see him booked a little bit more often, because he showed, he's not kind of the laughing stock of his class like he might have been perceived at one point in time. There's not a lot of people left from that version of the top 6. He's one of like 3 or 4 guys from that class with like Hansel and Klutz that are still putting on. So good W for Authentic. Might be performance of the night as well. And even though you could debate a round or 2 in there, KD wasn't clean. Another battle that I had someone getting all 3 rounds. But that is my full thoughts on this latest pack of Nexus battles. I want to hear your guys' thoughts now in the comments down below. If you have seen them, if you haven't, they're on the URL TV app. But how do you feel about these performances and what some of these winners should do next? Like, who do you want to see Homesy battle next? Or from that list of people, who do you think would be a good battle for Homesy? Same for Authentic, who I think should keep getting plates. And then even some of these years, like Danny is having debatably, and what will most likely be a top 20 year here in 2025. He gets another good W. So any thoughts you have on these cards, battlers, anything like that, please let me know in the comment section down below. And before I get out of here, I got one more topic I quickly want to talk about. I had a tweet earlier in the week speaking on Cassidy's promotion. I actually said a statement, thought a statement, one that I'll never think again. The tweet started, and I'll see if I can get it up somewhere around here. I 100% agree with Cassidy. How about that? Might be a one-time thing, but I 100% agree with him on outworking, his statements on outworking these other battlers. And as the tweet goes on, clearly I'm talking about in terms of the marketing and promotion of his battles, right? And, a lot of battlers give us a 3 Letterman interview, if that. Emphasis on if that. We're going to return to that. But they'll give us that, and that's just the promo run. They do 1-3 interview, and then they go and rap. And you see Cassidy's outside, and he's doing what he always does. He's hitting all these platforms for elongated interviews. I think he did 2 hours with Caps, 2 hours with 3, 2 hours with Restore Order, an hour with ARP. Even Hip Hop is Real, which is a Cassidy propaganda machine. No disrespect to them and everything they do, but it's very obvious. We have eyes and ears. They're posting all these interviews for him, the Pottsville Pigeon animation thing. So it's full force in multiple different forms of promo every day for multiple hours. Like this is the full Cassidy promotional experience, and that he's outworking other battlers. And I said if our battlers could give us half, keyword half, 50% of that, and everyone just do their part and put that energy and shit talking and promotion into the game, it would do wonders for the sport as a whole. And to be fair, it's a tweet criticizing battlers. So who got upset with the tweet? battlers. So like that's fair. And I got responses from, I know me and Loso went back and forth a couple times. A Ward responded, Real Deal, Tay Rock said something, Homesy I saw said something, right? And disagreeing with me. I saw a lot of fans, a couple other battlers even agreed with me too. But I think A Ward had the tweet that best counters my case, right? And when I use the term outwork, there's different perspectives on that word. So he's saying, how could you use the phrase outwork when there's battlers that really build the sport year to year and are here battling the true pros, which I agree with. I don't view Cassidy as a true pro, right? He just pulls up and gets a check. So the guys that really hold it down, this guy just does one promo tour and he outworks them. I can't be mad at that perspective of it, right? Because that is a way to view the work. That is the work. And I'm not a fan of the work that Cassidy does in the ring. Saw some people saying that. Well, he's got to rap good. I don't even fucking expect him to rap good on the 7th. So I'm the wrong guy to think I'm going to argue the other side of that. I agree with you people. But promotionally, he still outworks people. You know what I'm saying? He's still outworking the people who responded to this tweet. All due respect to A Ward, Loso, and Real Deal, who are all on this Illadelphia card. I think they're all having top 10 years in 2025. So nothing but respect for the work they've put out recently. I think they would all kick Cassidy's ass, you know what I'm saying, in a battle as well. So with all that being said, though, Real Deal's battling Trez, Loso's battling Nitty, and A Ward's battling Jay the Nightwing. And none of these guys have really promoted their battle. And that's kind of the point. While me and Loso go back and forth, right, and they keep having comments on this, they show this more energy than they show the matchups they have coming up on Illadelphia. Now, am I expecting them to go do what Cassidy's doing, 2-hour-long promos on multiple different platforms? No. I think Homesy also raised a pretty good point. You know, most battlers have jobs. They're not celebrities like Cass, platinum artists. Like, they have families to, certain things that might take up more of their time, but just because your most effort won't equal what Cass does. He's a celebrity, right? He has farther reach, but if you give it the most effort, it'll give you your farthest reach. However far that reach is, if everyone tries to get their promo and reach as far as they can, get their fans tapped in, if everyone, or at least half the card, does their part, that's what builds the overall energy. So I see, Loso and Nitty. Loso's having a great year. He's actually promoted his year great. Real Deal promotes his year. They're kind of Cody cases. You're hearing them in these conversations more than usual. They're battling a ton in big names. But imagine if now for his biggest Nitty battle, Loso was just out there doing some interviews saying this is going to be the best version of me, and when I beat Rum Nitty, I'll show why I'm one of the pound for pound best of this year. You don't got to talk super crazy about Nitty, fake personal nothing, but it's about talking about your own brand. You don't have to get paid a Cassidy check or something to just want to promote yourself, get your work the most talked about that it can be. So there's, and then the battlers would have retorts to that. There's different perspectives. I'm not trying to just go at anybody, but I do think it's funny that my tweets about him outworking people on promotion, you can see by the numbers what it's doing. Clearly it becomes the conversation at every corner of battle rap, and guys that are on the card not promoting are complaining about praising the guy who is promoting it. And even other battlers on the card, like Snake and Bill, just did their face off, and that's doing numbers. And I'm sure that battle is going to get more talked about than maybe some of these battles like a Real Deal and Chef Trez or a Loso and Nitty, which to me are actually more competitive, better matchups, but they're going to sell it better, and they're still going to give us a show too. So I just wanted to give my thoughts on that, because I saw battlers getting mad at me, and it's like, I'm just asking for some promotion. I'm not even asking you to do exactly what he's doing. I actually asked for half, if that, though, because every time we're probably maybe going to get a couple 3 Letterman interviews in between, and nothing changes. But I still stand by what I said. What Cassidy's doing with the promo should be an inspiration. Even if you're not going to do exactly what he does, there's something to learn in all that, in the way that he sells it, and there's things to take to sell your own battles as well. So talked about it a little longer than I thought I would, but just wanted to give my thoughts on that. All love and respect to those battlers that disagreed with me on that point. But it's been J Smo Reviews again here, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'm going to catch you on the next one, man. Peace.